You may have seen the video the other day where I talked about Amish people and the food they stockpile. It's a fantastic list. Today's video is how to store it. It's just as important, in fact, probably more important, because if you don't store this food incorrectly, it is money and time wasted. So I'm going to go through 11 ways they store their food and ways you could do it too, but I have shortcuts also because life is easier that way. Number one, they plan their meals out ahead of time. Do you do that? Do you try to plan out what you're doing? We're not talking about even for a week. They literally try to plan it out for the entire year, because as the crops come in, they need to know exactly how much food they're going to have to last throughout the year. Now, don't get me wrong. The Amish do go grocery shopping. We go shopping all the time. There's always Amish people in there. Even more so, they have the hitching post outside so they can hitch up their horse and buggy. Or what they'll usually do is pay money to drive them to the grocery store, and they buy out everything they need. But either way, they map it out so that way they know exactly what they had. Even I had a follower say in that last video saying, oh, the Amish people don't stockpile. Of course they do. They don't have refrigerators. Their whole life depends on stockpiling correctly, because it's been done that way for thousands of years, having enough food to last throughout the winter. If you don't have enough food, you die. Number two, they grow what they eat. Mostly. They do, obviously. I don't want to even say gardening, because gardening is almost kind of like an insulting term. It's more like farming. You know, you drive down the roads out here and you see the horse-drawn plows and everything as they do everything the old school way. It's incredible. Obviously, they grow a lot of their main staples, and we're talking about potatoes, squash, onions, and beans. Lots and lots, and wide variety of beans is key for them. And they, of course, this goes into the stockpiling, but my point is it's about self-sufficiency. Do you grow your own garden? You do have a place for it? If you do, and you're not gardening, now's the time. I have people say, oh, I buy my food now, and when crap hits the fan, I'll start to garden. Apparently, you've never gardened before. It's not that easy. Some things are. You throw a seed in there, you get some food. Other things takes a lot of time and trial and error and practice, and you don't want to leave it to basically chance. Now, in the meantime, of course, you can buy your food. Get lots of canned food to be able to help you with those veggies until you learn to grow those veggies. Number three, obviously they have their animals for food during the winter if need be. They have cows for their milk, but obviously they can butcher a cow if they need to be able to have some good old beef stew. They also have chickens. During the summer, mostly, the chickens lay their eggs. They do during the winter too, but not near as much. And they can actually chow down on the chicken if they want to. And it's interesting up here, we butcher our own chickens. We don't do it all the time, but when we do, we go through a whole process and get it done. The Amish are neat. They have a building up here, a place you can go to. You pay $5. You drop off a chicken for $5. They totally process the entire chicken for you. They're so well versed at it. It's amazing. Now, what about the eggs? Again, you do get some eggs in the winter, typically, but not always, and not near enough to feed their family. So what do? You take the eggs during the good seasons, and then you'll hold it out for the winter. Water glassing is by far their major way of doing that. A little bit of lime, off it goes. And pickling too. Sometimes they'll pickle their eggs. Sometimes, which they don't do this as often, they'll dehydrate their eggs to make powdered eggs. It's more of a lengthy process. Water glassing is the way to go for most Amish, so that way they have eggs all year round. Of course, canning is their next step. This is by far their priority number one choice when it comes to preserving food. Canning. The crops come in. Usually we're looking at fall, not always, but in the fall, and they go straight into canning this food so they have it all winter. That's fantastic. And here's the coolest part. When we can, we use our pressure canner on our stove, which we regulate the amount of propane. It's easy. They do it over wood fires, which is really cool that they can actually can doing that without causing some kind of chaos. Where they can, meats, fruits, and veggies primarily, all gets canned and gets ready for the winter. Number six, meats. Now, they do can their meats also, and I find canning meat is the easiest way, but they do other methods too. Maybe you do this. Do you smoke your meat? Salt cure it? They'll even pack it in lard for storage through the winter months. They don't have to keep it indefinitely. They don't need a freezer for it. They just need to keep it for the winter. And therefore, they use these time-honored methods to be able to make sure they have enough meat, because obviously meat is about the essential proteins and lipids. You and I, if we don't go through that whole process, we can just buy the canned meats, which they're practically just as good. You have to have those proteins and fats. We've talked about that many times. Number seven, what they don't can or cure, they store in sacks. Obviously, a meat sack is not going to work very well, but good old-fashioned burlap or cloth sacks, when we talk about beans, rice, sugar, wheat berries for sure, all those things, even oats, rolled oats, are put into these sacks. And that's how we buy it, by the way. When we go to the Amish stores in the area, they usually have 50-pound bags of the beans really inexpensive, and they store perfectly in those bags just like that. Now, to make sure their food doesn't go bad, they use natural pest controls. Diatomaceous earth works wonders, by the way. Bay leaves, mints, clovers, garlic, tobacco, even vinegar will help keep ants at bay, but you don't want your food to basically succumb to pest. Now, you'll also find root cellars in the Amish homes. Root cellars are probably an understatement for most of these people. They're huge, dark and cool, almost like a refrigerator, not quite that cold, but perfect place for a lot of produce, carrots, apples, potatoes, etc., even the squash throughout the winter. Number 10, fruit is the Amish candy. That's the best way to put it. They take a lot of the fruits and dehydrate it, and when they need a quick energy pickup, off they go. They go with apples, peaches, and pears primarily. So in this area they do. They sun dry or dehydrate it, and that way you always have the fruit. The softer fruits, which are not going to dehydrate very well, they put into canning, jams, jellies, and preserves, and that way they eat that as well. In fact, it's really interesting. Up here in the town of Clare, there's a McDonald's. Right next to McDonald's, there's always Amish people out selling their jams and jellies, and people go there by the carload. Number 11, a lot of people love this practice too, not just the Amish, is fermentation. Thousands of years old. It's easy. You just simply need, like, for example, cabbage and salt and thyme, and off it goes, and it'll preserve and make it so you have like sauerkraut. Pickles, kombucha, kefir are all fermented for storage, and the bacteria that's already in there will take care of it for you. It's super easy and effective. If you haven't done it before, give it a whirl. But we can learn from the Amish because, of course, they depend on growing their food and getting it in for the wintertime where you and I can go to the grocery store. That may not happen sooner or later. So think about this, write notes, and practice this stuff now, just like planting seeds, because when the time comes, you don't want to have to do it then when your life depends on it. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.